Have you ever told everyone about something big you wanted to do? Did you notice what happened next? Sometimes when we speak too much about our dreams, they become harder to reach. In 2021, I was a ghost billionaire. I had the pitch decks, the vision, and a dangerously loud mouth. Every Friday night at a lounge on Arthur Avenue in the Bronx, I'd leak power to anyone who'd listen. I'd tell them about the real estate empire I was building, my new business ideas, the job applications I had started. People clapped. They said nice words. They wished to be like me. They called me the next big thing. And in those moments, I felt like I had already won. But I was a victim of the Zeigarnik Effect in reverse. By speaking my dreams, I was giving my brain a pseudo-reward. I was getting the dopamine hit of success without the sweat of the struggle, without doing any work. One time I told Isabella, a woman who moved through Manhattan with the grace of a predator, that I'd be taking her to Paris for summer holidays. But for each dream I announced, the next morning or weeks later the fire was gone. I felt tired. Why work for a dream I'd already sold to everyone for a bit of cheap applause? I thought my honesty was a virtue. I didn't realize it was a death sentence to my dreams and for her desire. I was a solved mystery. To her, I was a book she had already finished reading, predictable, available, and desperate for her validation. I was being treated like trash because I was a reactive male. When she didn't text, I chased. At work, when my boss criticized me, I explained. Like the seed left on top of a rock in the sun, I was drying out in the heat of my own ego. I hit rock bottom in 2022, and in that silence I found the calculated indifference of Marcus Aurelius. Aurelius taught about the inner citadel, a mental fortress where your effort stays hidden and your peace remains unshakable. I realized my life was failing because I had no walls. Every external comment moved me. I slowly began to notice how every successful person I know worked in silence and let the results make the noise. In these moments, I made a vow of total silence. I started my first dropshipping business in 2022. For 6 months, I disappeared. My family in the Bronx thought I was unemployed. My friends thought I'd broken. I didn't tell a soul. When my mother asked what I was doing, I didn't launch into a speech. I simply said, "I'm working, Ma." No details. I was watering the seed in the dark soil of anonymous effort. Whilst running my business, I set a goal to get a high-paying job, and through silent applications, I was employed in less than a month. Seeing these results, I found reward in being a Stoic man. I began practicing the Napoleon void. In meetings, I mastered the Imperial Silence. Napoleon knew that he who speaks the least becomes the center of gravity. I stopped trying to prove I was the smartest person in the room. I listened. I watched. When you refuse to fill the silence, others become desperate to fill it for you. They reveal their prices, their weaknesses, and their secrets. By saying less, I made the most impactful decisions at my job. I got promoted and started earning 6 figures. If you've had similar experiences to me, please subscribe to this channel. A year later, every aspect of my life had turned around. I ran into Isabella at a rooftop bar in Soho. The old Leo would have rushed to her to update her on my success. The new Leo simply offered a polite, distant nod, the look of a man who has found his own sun and no longer needs to orbit hers. She was visibly unsettled. She walked over and said, I haven't seen you post in months. What happened to that Paris trip? I didn't get defensive. I didn't explain. Instead, I used frame displacement. I looked her in the eyes and said, "It's fascinating how much my silence seems to weigh on you, Isabella." I smiled, took a sip of my drink. "How come you still hold on to that?" It must have been 2 years now, and turned back to my conversation. That night when Isabella got home, she couldn't resist the urge to text me. She wanted us to hang out that night. She offered to come to mine. "I know a great movie we can watch," she said. She wanted to fill the void. I didn't reply for 3 hours. I was too busy handling my drop-shipping business, so I declined. I was executing the Stoic flip. By day, I was the intense magnetic commander that caused intense heat when she saw me. But the second I stepped away, I became a ghost who needed no validation, no check-ins. I triggered a biological fever in her brain, the value reset. By not needing her, I became the only thing she wanted. I was no longer the petitioner. I was the emperor. Today, it's 2026. I own 5 high-performing companies across New York. I am the most prominent person in my family, not because of what I say, but because of the imperial aura I radiate. Isabella? She's my wife. She didn't fall for my dreams. She fell for the man who was too busy building a reality to talk about it. I didn't get here by being consistent and nice. I got here by retreating into the dark soil of effort. I protected my dreams with the imperial silence until they were strong enough to stand on their own. Now the tree is so massive that everyone sees it. I don't need to announce it. Why do most men not know this? Because they are slaves to the clap. They are addicted to the temporary high of being liked for a plan they haven't executed. They leak their power through their mouths before their hands can even start the work. If you are still talking about what you're going to do, you are already losing. You are giving away the power you need for the climb. You are drying out your seed. Stop talking. Stop explaining. Become an emperor to understand these lessons deeper. To master the specific verbal techniques and the silence that builds empires, you must watch the previous video. If you relate to this video, please like, comment, and subscribe.